Let's say hi. Say hi, Bella.
Hi, Bella.
Everyone, I hope that you're having a great day. It's kind of a little bit of a dreary day here in Alaska, and that means my Bella isn't quite ready to wake up yet. So she's spending a little extra time with mommy this morning. How many of you have ever felt that way? Like, oh, just a little bit more time, right? Um, so I'm really excited to have my dear friend and coach, Demi, with me today. Demi, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here again. Oh, I love
Thank
your community.
Yes, I do too. Just such amazing rock stars and just leading with heart.
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
that I really, really appreciate about each one of them. I'm in Alaska. Demi is in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah. So when you join us, let us know where you're joining us from. We are going to tackle a subject that I have to admit, I have had like just amazing transformation in my thinking because of mindset changes regarding working harder. All of you know I'm like the girl who says, just give it more throttle. Like, go harder. You got this. Grind it out. And I'm not saying I'm changing my message. I'm simply saying there's a way that we can do that without destroying ourselves. Without, like, I've had so many, like, messages and seen so many things this week about burnout. And I was sharing on a coaching mastermind that Demi and I are in together yesterday that, you know, it's really interesting. I've had conversations with 3 different brand new doctors this week. Like, they're just getting started in practice. And so I ask them what they want. And each one of them, it's get in practice, grow it so big I have an associate that then I can take time off. And I'm like, you're looking for the exit strategy and we haven't even gotten started yet. Like, what is going on in our profession that we are planning for burnout before we get started? So, Demi, let's talk about where do we start in this journey of the working smarter, not harder, but really and truly recognizing that we don't have to push.
I think it starts with understanding that there's 2 different paths to success. And it's really understanding, and in all my work, and I've worked with successful entrepreneurs for years and studied them even before that. And I noticed that there's these 2 distinct paths to success, and you can reach your goals, achieve financial freedom, achieve a lot of great things down both paths. But I think it's really important to understand the distinction of the 2. The first path initially is going to feel more comfortable to you because it feels familiar, and you do take massive action. It's what I say, what 90% of the business books and business coaches out there are going to subscribe to is, wake up earlier than everybody else, work harder than everybody else, do more, massive action, just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep showing up, keep doing. And the problem with that is that it actually ends up being more uncomfortable. It's sort of, I think it's like Stephen Covey says, the problem with climbing that ladder of success is that you realize when you get to the top, you climb the wrong ladder, right? It's like we achieve these levels of success. And I did this. Let me be really clear. I did this. My first drive to success was doing it this way. Yes. And what happens though is then we reach these levels of success we once dreamed of, but we still feel like something's missing. We've got to go for something more. If 1 million isn't enough, 2 million must be. And there's just something in that feels empty. It feels a little lonely. And then we have it, what's really cool about that is that then we can kind of like, when that happens, it pauses us to kind of slow down and look. Now, the second path to success is, and this is the one that, Dr. Barbara's been talking about lately and been experiencing and is here to share with all of you guys, is initially more uncomfortable because the working harder is not in massive action. The working harder is working with more courage. It's being courageous to do the deep inner work on your being, because when your being shifts, everything shifts. And so it's maybe initially more uncomfortable, but the success that when you shift your being to be more free, and you're no longer driven by fear and you're driven by inspiration, success seems to come, it just comes a lot easier. You're still taking action, but the action is generative. Like the action generates your energy rather than depleting it. I woke up at I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning, and I was really tired, and thinking, oh man, I might need to make some space in my calendar, in my schedule for a nap today, because I was like really tired. And Dr. Barbara and I were just talking before we started, and just in the conversation, I'm so love this topic, so love Dr. Barbara, that all of a sudden I'm like, I got this day. I don't need to cancel work. So it's that kind of a difference, right? If I was showing up, like the first path of success is we're driven by our fears, we're driven by our insecurities, we're driven by our subconscious to prove something, to get somewhere, to to keep up with the other people who are achieving success, that if they can do it, we can do it. Like that drive, when we take action from that place, it's exhausting.
Yeah. Well, and exhausting. And I think too, like as you were talking about climbing up the ladder, then when we look back at the ladder, we see the carnage, right? We see the carnage, and we see like what has the cost been to be at the top of the ladder? And it's really easy when you're there to start justifying things. Well, I had to do it this way. I had to miss out on all of this. I had to. And then what I have found from my own experience and coaching chiropractors for decades is it's really easy then when you want to expand your wealth or expand your reach after that, to marginally go for it and to easily justify, I must not want it because in the past when I've wanted it, I've done it. Right. So for instance, it would be, for those of you who are watching, it would be I grew my practice so huge, my first 10 or 15 years in practice. And then I just got really burned out. And so I just kind of like took it easy. And now I really want to hit it again. But every time I do, I don't follow through, or things don't happen. Like it's just not how it used to be. And so we get locked up in all of these stories, and then the survival constraint comes in to protect us, right? And says, well, maybe you just don't want it because when you wanted it before, you had it. And I'm just here to tell all of you, it's not true. Like who you are is still behind all of these layers, and she or he still wants to come out and play. It's just, we don't have the skills to, for the most part, for most people, I would say probably 90% of the population, in order to be able to look at those survival constraints and those stories that said, go harder, that's the only pathway. And one thing that I guess really comes to my mind about this as well is just like you had said at the very beginning, the courage. Right? It's easy to do things the same way. And for chiropractors who are watching, think about that practice member who you can just tell like is leaning in and they want to learn about chiropractic, and they know that their body can heal, but they just haven't experienced that. So they want to take a step forward, but it's like, but I've always taken these medications. I've always done all of these other things and gotten by. And that getting by has now destroyed their body. And now they're really forced to look at something different. And that's what this is. That's what this is. This is stepping into a new way of being well from the inside out. Before we started today, you said something really powerful, calling them into a new way of creating in the world. And this notion or this concept of thoughts are make-believe. Can we go there for a minute? Because as someone's watching this, you and I both know, like, all this stuff is coming in right now. Like, I can't take my foot off the accelerator. Like, the wave is right there. Can't you see it? It's going to hit me.
Absolutely.
Can we talk about those thoughts?
Well, when we can't take our foot off of the accelerator, that is fear. And the fear is the greatest saboteur to our greatest creativity. What we were talking about is everything that Barbara and I were talking about, which he's referring to, is that everything that has ever been created in the world, everything, the Eiffel Tower, the Statue of Liberty, laptop computers, iPhones, the home that you're in, the cars that you're driving, the clothes that you're wearing, the practice that you're doing, everything that was ever created in the world was created from this infinite created source of what we call mind, sort of the principle of mind. Mind is sort of the oneness from which we're all created. It's what connects us all and has innate intelligence within it. So everything in the world that was ever created came from that. And you're made of the same juice. You have the most infinite creative potential within you. And because of that, you're going to do best when you're in over your head with anything, when you are against a problem, when you don't know what to do about something. That is the best recipe to elicit the most potent creative juices out of you. But if you listen to fear, this is my little monkey that represents like monkey mind that I refer to. So, you guys can see this is our subconscious, and neuroscience tells us that our subconscious makes up 95% of our noggin, which I'm in awe of, because, that gives us the opportunity to forget who we really are and create these survival constraints, these survival patterns that are in direct opposition to the truth of who we are, and create an experience of fear. And the fear drives us initially to our first level of success. It works brilliantly. It does all our initial stuff, right? But then what happens is it gets us stuck. It gets us here, but it's keeping us here as well. And then so it's actually puts us up against a problem and a challenge. And so, yeah, it can be really scary to take your foot off, think that we're taking our foot off of the pedal, but that's not really what I'm suggesting. I'm not suggesting that you stop taking action. I'm just suggesting that you stop letting this monkey mind be the motivator of the action and the driving force towards your success.
So being able to look at the fear and decide that's not what's going to keep pushing me forward, right?
It's really hard. That's easier said than done. It's really hard to know what's driving your behaviors, what's driving you to success. Barbara mentioned the mastermind group that I'm running right now. It was, I knew from my knowing that I should not create a workbook, an agenda, a curriculum, and PowerPoints. I knew it, because if I did it, it put me in my head. But my monkey mind wanted so bad for me to create all of those things. But for this particular mastermind and what the intention was behind it, to help coaches create high-paying clients, it was really they were all brilliant coaches, and we needed to work with what their challenges were, not my prescribed curriculum. We had different topics that I knew that we would get to, or I'd bring up, but I knew better than to have this outline. And I literally had to stop, don't write it. And I had to go on walks and clear my mind, because it was very scary to not put that together, because that's the way I've always lived, right, in the past. But the reason I knew to do it this way is that I really looked and I really saw that, that was my survival constraints, that's afraid of looking stupid, that wants to have everything pre-handled, that wants to control the positive outcome of the course for everyone so that I can look good, so that I won't feel stupid. And they won't, worst of all, they're going to think I'm stupid, right? So that was the hard work. When I say hard work, that was the hard work. I had to very deliberately and consciously choose not to do that, so that, because when I stopped listening to what this little monkey wanted me to do, and I have a practice of, whenever monkey tells me to do something out of fear, is I put it in it, I pretend that there's a TV going on in the background and it's just the background noise. I put it on back there. What happened each week as we came together in this mastermind, or in this boot camp, we I knew, oh, here's how we need to start the call. I cleared my mind so that my knowing, so that the energy of mind, that is the creative force of everything, could bring in relevant, fresh new thinking that was relevant to the participants in what they needed, so that I could show up to some degree empty, so that I could really see what was present for them and support them in that. Right. So
I'm going to pause that for just a second so that I can make this connection. So chiropractors, we talk about present time consciousness all of the time when it comes to adjusting, to, come to the table empty so that you can respond to that person's innate, right? That you can ask that body questions in your leg length analysis, your motion palpation, your static palpation, whatever you use for analysis, and therefore be able to locate, analyze, and correct vertebral subluxation. So we talk about present time consciousness when it comes to our clinical application and practice. But what about present time consciousness when we're looking at creating our practices?
Yes. Yeah. That is the same innate intelligence that informs you of what to do with that body in front of you will inform you what to do with your business. Set your destination. So where do you want to be in your business? What is it that, one of the very nature, they won't be able to create a 45-step plan. Right. And then you have to show up, and you have to let that innate intelligence give you just the next right step.
Right.
That's the surrender. That's the letting go of the same way that you show up with that body on your table, you show up with your business. I love that.
I love what Neil talks about in his book. And he talks about, it's a quote that's basically, it's easier to create what you want than to create what you think you can get.
Yes.
And it makes me think of Benny in Costa Rica, right? So tell the story about Benny in Costa Rica.
Well, it was actually Jameson. He's 4 years old.
I'm sorry, yeah, Jameson.
And I was telling Barbara that, to some degree, what I like to encourage my clients and any dreamer to do is to throw their 4-year-old tantrums. Because we're planning a trip to Costa Rica, and my 4-year-old, we showed him the house that we're staying at on the beach, and he woke up the next day ready to go. Let's go. We're going to Costa Rica. No, sweetheart. It's a couple months away. No, I want to go right now. No. And he was just a demand for it being right now. I just giggled, and I sort of brought this for all of us, because I think it's time for all of us to throw our 4-year-old tantrums. The world needs us to throw these tantrums. And I'm not talking about our monkey mind tantrums, not those tantrums. I'm talking about being a demand for the vision that you want, for the goals that you want. And I'm being a demand for what you really want, not what you think you can get.
Yes.
And when you can literally demand from your knowing, the same way when you are a demand, when you are in front of that body with that being empty, so that you can connect, your knowing is moving through you. We're connected. You're connected. So we're all made of mind energy. They are, you are. So you show up and things occur to you if you're empty. And so you can demand of your knowing to tell you what your next right step is in your business. And what Barbara's talking about, that it's easier to get what you go for what you really want, is that to some degree, and this is something I've taken on and do with my clients, is that if I go for what I really want, that it's an impossible goal, then I don't know how to get there. When I go for what I think I can get, I actually think I know how to get there, and I'm going to try to control the way there. It's be sort of like when you show up to just that person on your table, and you're not empty, and you think from your head, you're trying to remember, how is it that I'm supposed to do it? It worked really well on this other person this way. And you're listening to this monkey chatter, and that knowing can't move through you to inform you what's right for that person in front of you.
And I've said for years, make sure you don't show up to your table needy. And I never really knew what I was actually saying is make sure you don't show up with
me. It's all about me. I need to look good. I want you to love me.
Right. Because then that person has to fill that void, and it just doesn't feel good if I'm paying you as my doctor and yet I'm having to get all this from you. So and we're gonna have to close. I know, I'm sorry everyone, but that's just how this rolls. But being a bigger entrepreneur, a savvier clinician, chiropractic clinician, like being able to best help your practice members, I'm 1,000% convinced it's from your knowing. It's not from a textbook. And I'm not saying become stupid. I'm saying you've done the work. You've gone to school. You've read the books. You've been to the seminars. It's your knowing. So taking your practice and really, if we take our lives to the next level, our practice has to go there. So I invite all of you to consider taking your life to the next level and therefore bringing your practice to the next level. So I want to invite those of you that this has sparked interest in you to look at what does this mean, Barb? Like, I don't really get it. Let's jump on the phone and talk about it. Let's talk about and find your puppet. And the cool thing, like Demi has taught me, and it's so true, is once you see it, you can't unsee it. So at first it's scary to look at the reality. And then before long, like I feel like I'm Jameson all the time for our coaching calls. Like, all right, what stuff are we going to peel back today? Like, I know it's probably going to be a little bit ugly. It's going to get messy, but oh my goodness, there's so much freedom in just being authentic and me without all of these subconscious, these constraints in front of me. So as we wrap up, what do you want to leave everyone with, Demi?
Can I say one thing? I think this is really important, and that kind of wraps back to where we began, is that it's not about taking your foot off the pedal. It's about not letting the monkey push the pedal. And the difference is that what you're doing is you're coming from inspiration, inspire from spirit. So if you let whatever you want to do next, whether it's write a book or start a group or, open a second practice or do anything, let it come from inspiration and not from fear. If it comes from inspiration, then your knowing has everything that it needs within it to inform you of what the next right step is. Often when we try to do things from fear, we're going to take on things before our knowing, actually, like before we have the expanded consciousness to be able to do it in a way with ease. And so, but if you'll just keep showing up and see what inspires you, what lights you up, and take it on, you don't need to know how to do it. But if you throw your whole being into it and just give your whole self to it, and just let the creative force that is alive in you, let you inform you of your next right step, you will create success with more ease, and it continues to expand. You won't believe how sweet the journey can be. So that's the last thing I want to leave.
So sweet. Thank you so much, everyone. Especially thank you to my dear friend, Demi, to each one of you. Listen, if you've had a nudge during this, don't resist it. Like, just lean in and let's explore. And let's talk. The talk is free. Let's see what's there for you, because I can't think of a better time to expand, to heal relationships, to really tap into your knowing. There's never been a better time than today. So I'll put the link in the comment section. Let's jump on and we'll be on a Zoom call together, not just a phone call. I want to see you. I want you to see me. And let's get to know one another for the journey ahead. Demi, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Take care.
I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Bye.